Hello everyone, welcome to Homework Help. If you find the videos useful, please subscribe to the channel. So in this video, we'll find the degree of the polynomial functions from the given graphs. So in this problem, we are given these 5 graphs, and as per the problem, each of these graphs is a polynomial function of degree 3, 4, 5 or 6. And we have to determine the least possible degree for each graph. So let's start with the graph on the left side. So we have to first analyze the end behavior of the graph, and from that we'll find out whether the degree is odd or even. So on the left side, this graph comes from the quadrant 3, and as we go to the right, the graph ends up in quadrant 4. This graph starts and ends on the same side of the x-axis, that is below the x-axis. So it starts in quadrant 3, goes around and then comes back in quadrant 4. So for that reason, this is an even degree polynomial function. So that's the first thing we need to understand and memorize about this type of graph. So that means out of these 4 choices we have, this polynomial function can have a degree of 4 or 6 because these are the two even numbers. Next, we have to analyze the number of x-intercepts the graph has. So in this case, this graph has 1, 2, 3 and 4 x-intercepts, and the order for each of these x-intercepts is 1. So it's the order or the multiplicity. So that tells us that this graph has a degree of 4. So this is a very important concept you need to understand and memorize. So this graph has 4 x-intercepts. At all 4 of these x-intercepts, the graph passes straight through the x-intercept. That means the order or the multiplicity of this graph is 1 at each of these x-intercepts. So if we add all the orders, so 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, the degree is 4. So that's the least possible degree for this graph. Now we can analyze the second graph. So first we'll analyze the end behavior. We'll analyze the end behavior from left to right. So on the left side, the graph is going in quadrant 2, and then it goes around in between, and then the graph ends in quadrant 4. In this case, the graph is going across the x-axis. So it starts from quadrant 2 and goes across into quadrant 4. So in this case, this polynomial is an odd degree polynomial function. So that's our first observation. And next, we have to analyze the x-intercepts. This graph has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 x-intercepts, and all of them have order or multiplicity equal to 1 because the graph passes straight through these 5 x-intercepts. So that means the degree of this polynomial function is 5. Now we can analyze the third graph. Let's start with the end behavior. On the left side, the graph comes from quadrant 2, and on the right side, the graph ends up in quadrant 4. So again, this is an odd degree function. So that means the possible answer choices are 3 and 5. Now let's analyze the x-intercepts. So there are 1, 2, 3 x-intercepts. All have an order or multiplicity of 1. So that means in this case the degree is 3. Now the fourth graph, we'll start with the end behavior. So on the left side, the graph comes from quadrant 2. And on the right side, the graph ends up in quadrant 1. So the graph comes and ends up on the same side of the x-axis. So that means this is an even degree polynomial function. So it starts from above the x-axis and ends up above the x-axis. So the answer choices are 4 and 6. Now we'll analyze the x-intercept. So there's 1, 2, 3 and 4 x-intercepts, and the order and the multiplicity of each x-intercept is 1. So in this case, the degree is 4. So now the last one. So in this case, the graph comes from quadrant 3, then goes around in between, and then ends up in quadrant 1. So in this case, the graph is going across the x-axis. So in this case, the degree is odd. So it's an odd degree polynomial function. So now we'll analyze the x-intercept. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 x-intercepts, and each has order or multiplicity equal to 1 because the graph passes straight through the x-intercepts. So that's why in this case the degree is 5. So these are the steps you have to keep in mind to answer a problem like this one. So I hope you'll find this video useful. Please share it, like it, and subscribe to Homework Help. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye.